Good evening, people. How are we doing tonight? I want to talk a little bit about something that the Seahawks have been doing really well so far in 2022 that I don't know if you could have said they were great at in previous years. So, we're talking about the offense, we're talking about Geno, we're talking about this offensive line, we're talking about these running backs, we're talking about Shane Waldron. Yeah, we're talking about the offense again. And specifically, I want to talk about how this Seahawks team is finishing games and really highlight what they are doing, even though they're not registering a bunch of come from behind fourth quarter wins, even though they're not necessarily putting together a lot of game saving or game winning drives. What they are doing very well is putting the game away at the end. And this is something that they didn't do in week one. So this is something that has kind of developed as this season has gone on, where at the start, it actually seemed like it was going to be a bit of a problem for us to execute in those situations, but it's actually become a real strength. Real quick before I go into the drive charts here that I want to talk about, I will be on Twitch tonight, streaming probably mostly Valhalla because I'm trying to beat it before Ragnarok comes out. Come on by, swing on by, and we'll see if we can finish it off tonight. If not, I got a little bit of time tomorrow. All right, so hope to see you there. Let's take a look at this drive chart. So this is from week one, Broncos Seahawks. And when I think about this game, there are a lot of things that I think about, of course. But what I'm going to talk about today specifically is just that second half, where you only had 3 total points scored. And what I really want to highlight here is one particular drive that just didn't go that well in this week one game. It was right after the Denver Broncos kicked a field goal with about 6 minutes left to go up down by 1 point. It was 17-16. Seattle gets the ball back, and Denver has their timeouts. There are 6 minutes left, but it is within the realm of possibility for you to use up a lot of the clock, if not all of it, or at the very least use up most of it and score, or basically have a drive that really just puts your foot down on the game and says, no, this is our game. We put ourselves in this position to win the game in the fourth quarter, and this is how we're going to do it. We have the ball. We have a lead. Few minutes left. We're going to just make sure you don't even get a chance. That didn't happen. We get the ball, 30-yard line, 2-yard pass, 2-yard pass, 10-yard sack. So it was actually negative yards on that drive. We're punting. Denver has to miss a field goal for us to win. Defense has to really come through there at the end to make that game happen. So that was an example of not putting away a game. That was kind of the opposite of it. You almost immediately give the ball right back to Denver. You take less than 2 minutes off the clock, or maybe exactly 2 minutes off the clock, and Denver gets the ball back with needing a field goal with 4 minutes left in all their timeouts. Since then, almost every Seattle win has a sequence late in the game where this team packs it away. They don't come from behind. What they do is they hold the lead and they don't give the other team an opportunity to fight their way back into the game and manage a fourth quarter comeback of their own. It started with this Lions game, which was our next win, and this was obviously a game where both offenses just went back and forth up and down the field. But I want to really talk about this one drive that happened with about 5.5 minutes left to go in the fourth quarter. Detroit had just scored a touchdown. They were down by 3. They were motoring up and down the field without issue pretty much that whole second half after the Tariq pick 6. They could get whatever they wanted, and with plenty of time left, it was starting to feel a little bit ominous. Like, if we let Detroit get the ball back down 1 score, they're going to win. If we kick a field goal on this drive and leave enough time, they're going to score a touchdown and win. So watching this game live, I remember, of course, just thinking to myself, we need to score a touchdown or use up the whole clock on this drive. And what they do, Eskridge for 10 yards, Penny loses a yard, but then gets 9 on the next play. Geno hits Lockett on a big third down. Penny basically closes out the drive with a 41-yard touchdown on a 3rd and 5. just basically putting the game away. There were 2 minutes left at the end of this drive, and they did not let Detroit get the ball back until they were down 2 scores. That's how you put a game away. And not only that, by the way, but Detroit drove for a quick touchdown after this drive, and we technically still had to get one more first down to end the game, or else Detroit was going to get the ball back with about 50 seconds left, needing only a field goal to tie it. We didn't let it happen. Rashad Penny ran for a third down conversion at the end, and we were kneeing the clock out after that. So we put the game away. 2 different times, really. We packed the game away twice. And that can be just as valuable as a come-from-behind win when you think about it, right? You are basically suppressing the ability of the other team to get a come-from-behind win because you are seizing the advantage when it's for you. When you have the lead and the ball, you don't just give it up. You don't force your defense to have to be the unit that wins the game. Not too long after, we had the Cardinals and the Seahawks. This was a more low-scoring game. This was not the best game the offense played. But again... And this wasn't something that happened at the end of the game necessarily. In fact, in the fourth quarter, we punted a few times. But there was one drive in this game that really impressed me. It was right after the fumble by Dixon in the end zone that Arizona scored their only touchdown on. The whatever it was he was trying to do on that play where the kick, the punt got aborted and Arizona got a touchdown off of it. That was definitely a moment where the momentum of the game could have shifted. I know it wasn't late in the fourth, but that was a moment where the game could have slipped away from us. Arizona seizes momentum by scoring a touchdown. Now suddenly they're only down 3 points. There's a ton of time left. Their offense hasn't done anything the whole game. It was a moment where it felt like things were about to shift in a negative way, and the offense took the field right at the end of the third quarter, and they said no. They said, no, we're not going to let that happen. Geno hits Noah Fant for 15. Eskridge for 16. Metcalf for 17. Boom, boom, boom. Incomplete pass, 6-yard completion. Lockett converts third down, and then Walker runs for an 11-yard touchdown. It didn't put the game away, but with the way Arizona's offense had been playing in that game, 10 points in 13 minutes felt very difficult to overcome. And again, like I said, the offense punted a few times in that fourth quarter, so I'm not going to act like they did a masterful job of packing the game away. But this is still a big-time drive at a moment when the game could have suddenly fallen out of our grasp. And that's what I'm talking about here, really. It's like you suppress the ability of the other team to have a late-game comeback because every time you get the ball, you're doing something when you need to. Like yes, we didn't do anything in the fourth quarter to pack this game away offensively after this drive, but we were also never in a dire situation because we were up by 2 scores already. Chargers, kind of the same thing. It wasn't exactly a game where the Chargers were threatening at the end, but there were a couple of sequences that impressed me with the way we put the game away. After the safety, okay, we were up 13 points. We get the ball back deep in our own territory. We immediately get safetied. Austin Blythe misses his block. And there's plenty of time left. We're only up 11 points. I'm thinking this is a moment where the game could swing. And the Seahawks didn't let it swing. They forced a quick punt. They drove down. They got points. Not a beautiful drive, but they did go kick a field goal after picking up 30 yards using a few minutes. And then, of course, Walker with this 74-yarder to end it after they got the ball back again. It's not a ram it down your throat type situation necessarily, of course, but it is picking up some key first downs, keeping a drive alive, and putting points up on the board in a spot where you need to re-seize some of the momentum. And they did it. And it's something that felt like was often missing in recent Seahawks teams, even Seahawks teams that had good offenses. There was a real struggle to make it so your defense didn't have to go seal the win at the end. This offense is sealing wins. By the time the Chargers got the ball back after the long Kenneth Walker run, the game was over. Giants game, another pretty good example. Not the greatest first half, not the greatest early sequence for this Seahawks offense, but there were basically 2 drives. There was relatively early in the fourth quarter. The score was tied. It felt like a classic Giants game where they just hang around, and then find some weird way to win at the end that doesn't feel... It doesn't feel like you should have lost, but you look up at this scoreboard and you did. And then the offense just says no. Geno hits Metcalf for 11. Goodwin for 6. Lockett for 12. DK for 13. 33-yard touchdown to Lockett. And when that touchdown happened, I know there were still 9 minutes left in the game, but it really just felt like there's no way we lose this game now. We had seized control of the game to the point where I felt very comfortable, even though we were only up 1 touchdown and there were 9 minutes left. And I don't want to put too much on this one, but after taking over on the fumbled punt a couple drives later, we did immediately go down and score the game-ending touchdown with about 6 minutes left. Fant for 16, Walker for 16, boom, game over. So that had more to do with the great field position that we had than the actual offense just shoving it down the field. But this drive, really a thing of beauty to seize control of the game here in the fourth. Geno goes 5 for 5 for 75 yards. We face 1 second down, no third downs. Just really beautiful stuff in a game that had gone back and forth, in a game that absolutely could have kind of tilted towards the Giants at this point. They just didn't let it happen. They did have 1 punt sprinkled in between the 2 touchdowns, but it was an impressive fourth quarter showing after a game where the offense had actually had some real difficulties. And that leads, all this stuff I'm talking about really leads into the game we played yesterday against the Cardinals, where we saw maybe the most extreme example yet, where the Seahawks were able to do this 2, if not 3 times. So it's a little different, right? It's a little different because we were down, right? The first drive we're talking about, we were down, but it was still a beautiful drive, 13 plays, 75 yards, 6.5 minutes off the clock. The circumstances are a little different, but it was still a moment when the game could have slipped away from us because Geno had just thrown the interception. That was a moment where I felt it, like this could be the moment where the Cardinals just seize control. They've had a tough season. They've been trailing for most of this game. Their offense can't do anything, but their defense just made a big play. This is their opportunity to maybe go win this game like 14-13, and the offense just goes no. Walker for 6. They overcome the penalty, hitting Will Dissly for a couple of short completions for the first down. You've got a 3rd and 12 conversion to Lockett on a play where Lockett took a nasty hit. You've got a couple of first down completions to Dissly and Metcalf. You've got a 3rd down conversion by Walker. You've got the great touchdown pass from Lockett to Geno, where Lockett did get away with offensive PI, but that's football, I guess. And it's a beautiful drive that just completely takes control of the game back from the Cardinals. And then this Seahawks offense puts the game away. They get a quick punt. They get the ball at their own 19, and they march down the field. They convert 3rd downs. They keep everything manageable. They stay on track. They stay on target. Geno uses his legs some. You've got a lot of Ken Walker. You've got a little bit of DK Metcalf. You've got a little bit of Tyler Lockett. You've got the tight ends. And after using a good chunk of the clock in the fourth quarter, you're punching it in. Absolute thing of beauty this whole drive was. We are not going to let Arizona get the ball back down 1 score. They are going to get the ball back with 7 minutes or so left, and they're going to be down 2 scores. That is what we are going to force on them. And they did go get that touchdown, by the way, which, we were playing semi-prevent defense, so they had to do it again. The offense had to go out there again and again end the game. They didn't want to, if they didn't want to force the defense to have to go seal the win, they were going to have to do it themselves, and they did. Big play to Noah Fant. Walker with a couple of nice runs, and he ends up killing it with a touchdown. Game basically over at that point. 2 minutes left, you're up 2 scores. You got to feel pretty good about where you are. And of course, we closed it out from there, but that's the beauty of what this offense is doing lately, to me, maybe more than anything else. Sometimes they don't have their best game, but they are constantly closing. They're not having to come back. They're playing from a position of strength most of the time. They are closing. 5 examples in 6 of our wins of key drives at a moment later in the game when things could have started to spin out of control. The offense just decided to be a settling force. Gone are the days of the quick 3 and outs that just keep putting the defense back out on the field. That stuff was a real problem for years here in Seattle, even when the offense was playing well. Classic example, last year against the Tennessee Titans. The offense plays well. Wilson puts up big numbers. We put up points. We scored 30 points in that game. The offense played well, but at the end, they couldn't get a first down to close the game out, let Tennessee complete the comeback, force overtime, win the game in overtime. The season kind of spiraled from there. So this year, this offense would not allow that to happen. They would get those couple of first downs to pack the game away. That's, to me, the big difference here. Obviously, we're scoring more points. We're more efficient. We're getting more yards. The obvious things are going better for this offense as well. But this is a big thing that I think is contributing to this record and the overall happiness with the performance. They are closers this year. Sometimes they struggle early in the game. Sometimes they don't have their greatest performances for 60 minutes. But when they get to the end of the game and they have a lead and they just need to close it out over and over and over again, they're doing it. They're struggling a little bit in the area of maybe coming from behind. Couldn't do it against Atlanta. Couldn't do it against New Orleans. Kind of did it against New Orleans, I guess. But they are closing. All right. I'll see you guys on Twitch a little later. Peace out. Go Hawks. Let me know what you guys think. If anything, it's just... Obviously, this Seahawks offense isn't radically better than some of the great Seahawks offenses we had with Russell Wilson. Some of those offenses were just aces, like the 2015 offense, for example. But even those offenses felt like they didn't close close games as well as this current Seahawks offense is. All right. See you guys later. Go Hawks. Let me know what you think.